to call to the podium the Master of Ceremony in presence of Mr. Thomas Kaya, Director of Media Relations, UR Relations, to kindly carry us through the workings of 2 hours. Mr. Kaya, you are welcome. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Kaya?
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Well, hello to all. And I'm more than pleased to have you all here. This is a familiar space. But today we are here for a very special reason. I'm happy to see our students here, our faculty, administrators, our bosses, and I see some of our alumni in here. So I'm Thomas Kaya, Director of University Relations. I'm going to help coordinate today's program along with my partner who will be up there later, who will help to serve as the moderator of the second part of the program. So together we're going to take you through. So let's get this clear. We are here to celebrate, even though in academic setting, we try our best to make everything to seem too overly official. While we're here to observe that, we also want to make sure we don't lose sight of the fact that this is an anniversary celebration. So let's relax a bit, interact, especially for our students who are here. We'll be seeing some of you for the first time. We want to make sure we have that vibe. So on that note, we would like to have this program started officially. The president of the University of Liberia, Dr. Lady Mapayan, who's watching us live, she will be joining very shortly. Vice presidents and members of her cabinet, the acting president of the University of Liberia, or the officer in charge, to be correct, Dr. Agnes Reed Taylor, our honorable keynote speaker, Dr. William Allen, our panelists here, the president of the Faculty Association. Okay, I want to make sure she's here. And members of the Faculty Association, the president and member of the Staff Association, students. I'm sure the student representatives are also here. Those following us online, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, want to welcome you to the official celebration of the 74th anniversary of the University of Liberia Founders Day. We also have here, as part of our protocol, a member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Liberia, who is representing the chair of the board on today's occasion. Sorry for the oversight, sir. So we are here to celebrate, honor the team. The future starts now. And for some, it seems like a regular team, but for others, it's a special one. Future starts now means a lot. Are we just starting now, or are we starting differently? Too many things to dissect from the team. And in an academic setting, it's very difficult to win any debate. So we have the people here to help us understand what that team really means and how far are we if the future starts now. Where are we? So in our weak way to start the future now, we decided to go paperless. So sorry if you don't have the program sheet with you. We have everything online. You can scan the barcode. So maybe that's part of the future. In the information age, we have to save costs in order to run the university better. Our panelists have something special for us. I'm sure they're going to touch on other areas on what the university needs in the 21st century. So on our program here, we have invocation by Reverend Samuel F. Abasin. Reverend Samuel Abasin, let's see. Okay, may you please come to do us our invocation. He's from the Department of Student Affairs. Thank you.
Amen. The name remains constant. Reverend Samuel F. Agbasin from Zigida, Lofa County. One of the most beautiful towns in Zigida, in Lofa. Jeremiah, your attention is called to Jeremiah 29:10 to 13. For thou said the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word towards you in causing you to return to this place. 11, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thought of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. Kindly stand with me as we pray. Great God of heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for waking us up sound this morning and placing our names on the wake-up list. Many are dead today, but Jesus, you kept us alive, or you are keeping us alive because of your grace. We commit this program, this celebration into your hands as we step into the future of the University of Liberia. We pray that you will recalibrate the spiritual climate of this noble university and cancel everything that the enemy has deposited on the campuses of the university that has the proclivity of jeopardizing the operation of the university. We pray, oh God, that you will keep us healthy, keep our president healthy. We thank you for the university family. Guide us, lead us. We thank you for everything. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Thanks, Reverend Albertson, for that special prayer. Well, we have a lot more people online following this program. You know, the University of Liberia is a special place in the minds and hearts of Liberians. Celebrating our 74th anniversary, we have to accommodate everyone. We definitely have a huge community out there. This hall cannot accommodate everyone. So thanks to those of you watching us online. We are live on all of the platforms, on X, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. On the University of Liberia Radio, we are in transition there, so they too are broadcasting online. The future starts now, so we're trying to get them into the future. So we have a welcome remark by the officer in charge of the University of Liberia, Dr. Agnes Reeves Taylor.
Good morning. There are so many distinguished people in the audience that I wonder whether I will capture all. I'll start by saying the Board of Trustees represented by Honorable Kuya, distinguished members of the UL Cabinet, our distinguished panelists, and our distinguished keynote speaker, distinguished members of the UL faculty, the president of the Faculty Association, the president of the Staff Association, the president of the Alumni Association, who's also the board of the University of Liberia, distinguished as a university. It has come through many turbulent years, and the university has achieved many successes. Ebenezer Award. That was when the university was Liberia College. And then from Dr. J. Max Bond to Dr. Layli Mapayan, the university has gone through many stages. However, we remain strong. We remain impactful. We remain the beacon of hope, the light in the darkness for the Republic of Liberia. We've trained and educated people who are leaders of this country, leaders in different industry, and leaders in other parts of Africa. Liberia has been known in this university as the light in the darkness. I remember back in the day when I was a student here, we had many students that came from other parts of Africa to get a good quality education at the University of Liberia. Where are we now? University of Liberia? Are we still that beacon of hope for Africa, for in the minds of the founders of this institution, see the university being in the future? We could have had no better theme than what we have today. The future starts. Where are you, students? What is the future you see for yourselves being a part of this university family? What steps are you planning to take to ensure that we achieve that future? What do you want the faculty, the university administration to be doing in order to enable that process? I will then turn to the faculty. Faculty, we are here to enlighten the minds of our students, to enable them to be the future leaders of this country. Create in them the ability than just absorbing what we teach them. I always say to my students, I do not want to create sponges. I want to create individuals who are able to think outside of the box and develop new ways of solving problems. To the Board of Trustees, we need your support. You are a part of this family. To the cabinet, we all have a role to play. Let us have a very reflective mindset and think about the future that we want to see for this university. Let's think about what steps we all can take towards achieving this future. But remember one thing, it is not just one group that can do it. It is not just about the faculty and the leadership of this university. It is about all of us being a part of a process. The future starts now. Let us envisage this future and take, in fact, Dr. Conte, you're welcome. Let us envisage this future and take major steps in achieving that University of Liberia that we all want to see. I welcome you all and enjoy this program. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. The future starts now. Thanks to our officer in charge. And she has already done most of the groundwork, but we have to stick to protocol. And welcome again, Dr. Ahasan Conte, former president of the University of Liberia, who was recently our acting president. So we move quickly to an overview of the event, part of which has been done by the officer in charge, but we have someone who has been in charge of this organizing committee. He's the vice president for university relations, Councillor Norris Lester Tour.
Thank you. I'm watching live on Facebook. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A few years ago, we as the administration of the university decided to celebrate our Founders Day. There was a period of moratorium. And we made a decision that because the day is so important, we try to celebrate it every year. And then we realized that maybe not so quite. We celebrate after every, 1 or 2 years. We did celebrate Founders Day 3 years ago. It was an elaborate, extravagant celebration. We had various activities, indoor program here in the auditorium. It's outdoor at the SKD Stadium. Then we said, okay, we'll not celebrate every year. We'll do. So this year was one of those off years. However, there was a striking coincidence. We have a new president who came in. When she was informed about the Founders Day, she said, this day will not go unnoticed. As a matter of fact, we need to celebrate every opportunity we have for the university. So that's how this year was catapulted on the pedestal. Planning was a little bit late, so we decided as administration to do a mother's celebration, small celebration. But it turned out that nothing here in the university is small. Yeah, even you try to do it so small. No, one people here say the keynote speaker is Dr. William Allen. Oh, everybody's going to come. So I want to thank you all for coming. Enjoy this mother celebration. Dr. Allen was vice president for academic affairs for many years, chair of the history department. And I recall in 2019, the university celebrated its centenary. And Dr. Allen chaired that committee. And a lot of things you see us doing, he brought energy. So let's give Dr. Allen a beat of applause in as much as he's our keynote speaker. Thank you. We have a panelist, 3 major stakeholders of the university will be represented on the panel discussion: the faculty, the alumni, and students. So please give our panelists a big hand of applause. Kwame Clement, Dr. Bori, and Jessica Morris, you have agreed. We also pivoted this year. the president delivered a message. And she said a lot of things, and she's going to come on subsequently to say more things. When we're planning the program, because it was modest, we decided to eliminate something. When the thing is modest, it's modest. And one of the things, unfortunately, we deleted out was art and tech theme. So let me apologize. Let me apologize for art and tech theme. It's good to have art and tech theme, but it's a little costly on the cost side. And then we said, okay, since we're getting rid of art and tech, then we have to cut everything down. So if you see on the screen, it's the official souvenir program. We didn't print hard copies. It cost us about $7 to print one program at the printer. It would take the budget up to $7,000 to $8,000. So we cut that. You see, the feature that starts now has to start from intentional decision making, so that we can benefit the vast majority of our students. So that's why, this program is emphasizing technology. So I just want to say thank you all for coming. This is the program. We have many of our former students and alumni are watching this program live on all of our platforms. And during the course of the program, the MC will be giving you up-to-date information relative to the audience beyond this historic auditorium. The feature starts now. Thank you.
Thanks to the Vice President for University Relations, who's the chair of this committee, the organizing committee for the celebration of our 74th anniversary. Well, we have a special group in our midst. We talk about faculty, staff, alumni, students, but we have our year chorus here. For those who don't know them, they represent the voice of this institution. I'm not a very religious person, but they have pushed me on the edge on several occasions. So I hope today is going to be a different one. But for the first performance, they're going to do for us the University Ode. So can you please shift to the page where we have the Ode, and if you have the program sheet on your phone, you can check the University Ode. It's been a while for some of us to still remember the song by heart. So just check the program sheet. It should be on page 11. Yeah. Okay, we take this special rendition from the UL chorus. Okay, thanks to the UL chorus for that. At this point, we will now take a special greeting from our president. So we are going to get our UR relations team to connect her. Dr. Mapayan, I see you. I'm sure we all are familiar with our first by now. She's been watching since we started walking in this hall. So now it's the hall. So okay, so your chorus is a trusted group. Can you please do us something short?
Good morning, UL family. I hope that you can hear me. From my end, the internet is a little bit unstable, but I want to bring greetings to everyone on this 74th Founders Day, which is my first as the president of the University of Liberia. I'm very excited as we begin this new chapter together, which is why this year's Founders Day theme is "The Future Starts Now." While we enjoy this day as a time to look back at our origins and reflect on our history as an institution, that history compels us to face forward together and engage in a conversation about what lies ahead. History doesn't just happen. It's made by people living in the current moment and making choices about their future. At our best, our choices are guided by high aspirations and a lofty vision that inspires us. With regard to the University of Liberia, this is a time to raise our sights towards a noble and a dynamic vision of all that the University of Liberia can and should be, and to begin realizing that vision. Good morning, UL family. I'm starting over again because of the unstable internet connection, but I thank you very much for hanging in there. I want to bring my greetings on this 74th Founders Day, which is my first as the president of the University of Liberia. I'm excited as we begin a new chapter together, which is why this year's Founders Day theme is "The Future Starts Now." While we enjoy this day as a time to look back at our origins and reflect on our history as an institution, that history compels us to face forward together and engage in a conversation about what lies ahead. History doesn't just happen. It's made by people living in the current moment and making choices about their future. At our best, our choices are guided by high aspirations and a lofty vision that inspires us. With regard to the University of Liberia, this is a time to raise our sights toward a noble and dynamic vision of all that the University of Liberia can and should be, and to begin realizing that vision with a unified spirit and in collective endeavor. I invite you to join me in the weeks and months ahead, starting today, in a conversation about UL's future, who we are capable of becoming, and how we will get there together. By this time next year, at the university's 75th anniversary, we will have even more to talk about and to celebrate. To all of you who have gathered today, I thank you. And to all who have already begun the conversation, I thank you. And to all who stand ready to join the conversation, I thank you too. So I end where I began. Our future starts now. Thank you very much. And I turn the program back over.
Good morning again from my end. It's an honor to stand before many archaeologues and veterans of the Great University of Liberia to introduce our keynote speaker of the 74th Founders Day of the University of Liberia under the theme, The Future Starts Now. And indeed, the future starts now. So if you can't fly, you run. If you can run, you walk. If not, you crawl. Just don't stop moving. Dr. William Ezra Allen obtained his BA in history at the University of Liberia in 1983 and joined the Department of History as a teaching assistant. In 1988, he received a Fulbright Fellowship to study for his master's at Indiana University. He returned to Liberia in 1989 and rejoined the Department of History. During the Civil War, Dr. Allen traveled to the U.S. and completed his PhD at Florida International University in Miami, Florida. He conducted his dissertation research in Liberia in 1999 on a fellowship from the Rockefeller Foundation. His dissertation is entitled Sugar and Coffee, Settled Agriculture in 19th Century Liberia. In 2006, he rejoined Kennesaw State University in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Allen returned to the university in 2013. He was chairperson of the Department of History and dean of the Liberia College, now the Dr. Amon C. Sawyer College of Social Science and Humanities. From 2017 to 2019, he served as vice president for academic affairs. Dr. Allen is currently executive director for the Center for Diaspora and Migration Studies at the university. Dr. Allen is the author of several peer-reviewed articles, including the following: Liberia and the Atlantic War in 19th Century, Convergence and Effects, History in Africa, Volume 37, 2010. Rethinking the History of Settler Agriculture in 19th Century Liberia, the International Journal of African History Studies, 37-3, 2004. 435 to 462. Impress, Building an African Republic, History and Identity in Americo-Liberian Memory. Dr. Allen's chapter is entitled Becoming Liberian in an American Settlement. Again, Becoming Liberian in an American Settlement. Ladies and gentlemen, your keynote speaker.
Good morning to all. Officer in charge, Dr. Agnes B. Taylor, members of the University Cabinet, members of the Board of Trustees of the University of Liberia, our international partners, if there are any here, students, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you very much for inviting me. And I know that Dr. Mapania will be joining us soon. But I want to thank Dr. Mapania, along with the Founders Day Committee, for inviting me for this discussion, this very important discussion on the 74th anniversary of the founding of the University of Liberia. Let me just mention something quickly, that as a student here, and I was just discussing with my colleague, Councilor Kwame Clemens, talking about our days here. My future was made here at the University of Liberia. It was made here. I was a student assistant. So sitting in the history department, where you have professors like the late Dr. Alpha Ba, you had other professors. Somebody walking from USAID, were two teaching assistants sitting in the department. And that person walking and said, where are the professors? We said, well, they are in classes. He said, give this to them. It's a Fulbright fellowship. They should apply for it. So we said, thank you. She walked away. We pick up the brochure and we apply for the fellowship. And I got the fellowship to go to Indiana. So had I not been at UL, I may not have gotten that fellowship. There is one criticism that people usually make about historians. It's that historians' heads are buried in the sand. They are looking at the past. They don't focus on the future. That may be true. In fact, this is why I'm beginning my discussion today by looking at the past to see how the University of Liberia arrived at this juncture, where it started, and how it succeeded. My hope is that from that historical perspective, you might be encouraged to look at how you got here, in spite of the many difficulties you have, and begin to chart the future that you say starts now. Over the past 74 years, the University of Liberia has made tremendous contribution to Liberia human resource development. Our current enrollment of 25,000 students attend classes on 4 campuses. There are 9 undergraduate programs, 8 graduate programs, and 3 schools of professional studies. At the last graduation, the University of Liberia put out over 2,000 students, or around 2,000 students. However, I think the centennial graduation in 2019 surpassed that number. We were in about 3,000. That number is the all-time record for the number of graduates put out by this University of Liberia. This is testament to the University of Liberia's goal of training our young people to become leaders in the future. So the question here now is, how did we get here? We've done so much. How did we get here? I will begin by mentioning a story that was published in 1866. Again, I'm burying my head in the sand. 1866. That story was called Monrovia in 1866. What it did, it described Monrovia, the landscape, the mean streets, the mean residential areas, the business sector. At that time, the business sector was down waterside. You had warehouses lying alongside the Monrovia River. They were there. So boats from the Simple River would ferry in coffee and sugar. And those boats would then ferry these goods to a ship waiting anchored about a mile from the Messerado River. That's how busy it was. Let me read a quotation from the passage. It says, parallel with the river, which is the Messerado River, which is the Monrovia River, are four principal streets, namely River, Ashman, Broad, and College. The last leading towards the fine building from which it is named. It is indeed a noble institution. That noble institution was Liberia College. So as we recount UL's illustrious 74th year, I thought to also remember College Street. I don't know how many persons know that there was a College Street. There was a College Street, where Liberia College was founded 163 years ago. Thus, my topic for the 74th Founders Day is, it all began on College Street. The University of Liberia answered the call to national duty. Liberia College was established as the act of the National Legislature in 1851. A year earlier, a group of Americans had founded the Trustees of Donation for Education in Liberia. Some members of this American group were familiar with Liberian history. One of them was Simon Greenleaf. Greenleaf was one of the Americans who helped to write our Constitution of 1847. They wrote President Joseph Jenkins Roberts. Roberts was just ending his last term. They wrote him and mentioned that they want to start a college in Liberia. And they will raise the funds in the United States to start the college, and they will provide the means to build the college in Liberia. President Roberts responded immediately and favorably to this proposal to develop a college in Liberia. And this is what President Roberts said, a quotation from his letter to TDEL. He said, and I quote, "This subject, more than any other, has given me great concern." That was President Roberts' response. In the end, he expressed appreciation and welcomed the proposal to build a college in Liberia. Now, why was President Warner concerned? He said, this matter has concerned me. President Roberts was familiar with Liberian history, very familiar with Liberian history. He knew that those who had immigrated here to found Liberia had been deprived of education in the United States. As enslaved people, they were denied admission to schools. So President Roberts knew that this young republic at the time, barely 3 years old, needed resources, human resource, to run this country, to ensure that the country would develop its resources and maintain its democracy. The Act of 1851 that established Liberia College also provided a land to build Liberia College. So the area was selected in clay ashland, about 18 or 15 miles from Monrovia. That's where Liberia College was supposed to have been situated. Well, there was some wranglings about the selection of clay ashland. There was a group that argued that clay ashland was lowland, it was swampy. So if you build the college there, pretty soon you have to remove it because it will become inundated with rainwater and swamp land. Others said that the college should be built in Monrovia, the capital. However, in the end, an area around Cape Monserrato, the highest peak, somewhere around Cape Monserrato at Mamba Point, was selected for Liberia College. And then on January 23rd, 1862, Liberia College was inaugurated. That inauguration ceremony was led by a marching band. It had leaders, members of the legislature, the Chief Justice, President Benson in 1862, members of the faculty. They began to march. And guess where the marching began? It began on Ashman Street from President Roberts' house. Because President Roberts has been appointed as the first president President Roberts' house on Ashman Street led to the college building where Chief Justice B.J. Drayton presented the keys of the college to its new president, Joseph Jenkins Roberts. Classes commenced the following year, February 2nd, 1862. Now, we give entrance exams at the University of Liberia. This is not a new tradition. Liberia College gave entrance exam. And about 7 students were initially accepted. They were tested in Greek, Latin, mathematics, and they had to present a certificate attesting to good moral character. So what we are doing today has been done before. Of the 7 students that were selected and 3 were later added to that number, about 3 of them had scholarships from TDEL. The rest of them were self-supporting students. Some of the professors were mixed. You had Liberians and you had Americans. For the Liberian professors, we had Edward Wilmot Blading, professor of Greek, Latin, and literature. Dr. Blading spoke at least 4 languages. The next Liberian was Alexander Cromwell. He was professor of intellectual and moral philosophy, English, and literature. The Americans were Martin H. Freeman. And Martin Freeman was professor of mathematics and natural philosophy. He was also former principal of Avery Collegiate Institute in Pittsburgh, the United States. He was appointed acting president for Liberia College in 1885. Later on, he was appointed full-time president of Liberia College. Another American was Jeannie E. Davis, an alumna of Boston Girls High School. She was appointed principal of Liberia College Female Department. We have a program in gender studies here. Its antecedent was in Liberia College. The curriculum may have varied, obviously, because of the difference in the era, in the time. But Ms. Davis was principal for the female department. Later on, Ms. Davis established a girls' school in Mount Barkley, where she trained children from the interior, girls from the interior, to prepare for college at Liberia College. The year 1866, that year that Monrovia in 1866 was published, was very significant for Liberia College. Because that year, Liberia College put out its first graduation, 1866. And the graduate was a single student called James James Evans Clemens, James Henry Evans. That was the first graduate, James Henry Evans. So Evans marched, presumably, on the campus of Liberia College, and he received his bachelor degree. That's the first graduate from Liberia College. While Evans' 1866 commencement marked a new chapter in Liberia, in the history of Liberia College, it also foreshadowed a major problem that Liberia College encountered. That problem was the scarcity of students. Where will you find the students to attend college? That was a major problem. The reason why this was a major problem, as I mentioned earlier, because of slavery and racial discrimination, many of the African Americans who settled in Liberia were uneducated. There were three brilliant ones, including Cromwell I talked about, including Bladden, but the vast majority of them had just basic rudimentary education. So to come to Liberia College, they needed to go through high school, then the preparatory department, and then finally you enter Liberia College. That was a difficult problem for many because most of them had come to Liberia basically penniless. Because keep in mind, you want to keep this main point in mind, that many of them were enslaved. In fact, about a third of them who came here had been manumitted or had been emancipated or free from slavery on the express condition that from slavery, they would board the boat, and come to Liberia, the ship and come to Liberia. So many of them did not only come uneducated, but they came in abject poverty. So for those who were the majority, getting an education was important, but also finding a daily bread, finding food was paramount. Many of them were writing home to relatives that they had left in the States, and some of their old owners to ask for food and so forth. So the issue of the scarcity of students was a major problem. But there was also another potential source for students of Liberia College. That potential source was those who the African Americans met here. They are known in the contemporary records as indigenous people or aborigines. They were here. Many of them had been interacting with sailors, with ships along the Atlantic coast before the arrival in 1822 of these African Americans from the United States. Many of them. So they were very excited to learn English. So some of them said they were willing to learn the American man way. And the American man way was getting an education. So many of them did go to school. Some of the earliest success of indigenous people was H.2 Wesley. H.2 Wesley was vice president for Charles D.B. King from 1924 to 1928. He was of ethnic Creole background. Still, this situation of scarcity was persisted. So sometimes the Liberia College would graduate 2 students. There were periods where there were no graduation for years. It wasn't only because of the scarcity of students, but there were other issues like the scarcity of funds and so forth. In spite of this enrollment obstacle, Liberia College graduated about 200 students between 1863, when classes began, and 1951, when it was subsumed under the University of Liberia. Amongst those graduates were some of Liberia's earliest leaders. Arthur Barkley, class of 1903. Another member was Arthur Barkley's nephew, Edwin Barclay, who was president from 1930 to 1944. He was from the class of 1903, Edwin Barclay. Another prominent president who played a leading role in Liberia history was also Louis Arthur Grams. He was also a graduate from Liberia College. He was from the class of 1947. Besides these graduates who made prominent contribution to Liberian history and Liberian politics, there was also one person who shattered the barrier and became the first female president of the University of Liberia. That person was Mary Antoinette Grants Sherman. I was a student at UL when Dr. Sherman was president of the University of Liberia. So we understand the beginnings of Liberia College. I want to look at the transition now. To understand the transition, I have a subtopic called Winds of Change. UL answered the call to national duty. So we're trying to understand the transition from this Liberia College to the University of Liberia. What global and local circumstances made it possible that the Liberia College became inadequate and it had to be absorbed in a larger configuration that is known as the University of Liberia. One of the major circumstances here was, and I read this, that this transition began at a period of major economic transformation in Liberia. That transformation, people generally credit President William V.S. Tubman's open door policy. The open door policy brought unprecedented foreign investments to Liberia in mining, agriculture, forestry, amongst others. President Tubman mentioned this favorable turnaround in Liberia's finance. And I'll read a quotation here from President Tubman during his annual message in 1951. He said, "I am happy to inform you that on December 31st, 1951, meaning when the year ends, the government of Liberia will be indebted to no nation, bank corporation, or individual, and will have a moderate sum of excess revenue and balanced budget." So this was a major relief because the government of Liberia for most of the 19th century and earlier 20th was on the cusp of bankruptcy, burdened by foreign dubious debts and also budget deficits. So for the president to announce that we have a moderate excess and a balanced budget was a historic relief for Liberia. It was at this period the changes at the university began, the transition from Liberia College to University of Liberia. The University of Liberia curriculum adjustments were made to accommodate major changes. And one of those changes, as I mentioned, was foreign investments. You will need lawyers to prepare contracts, obviously. You will need our students to learn mining so that they will participate in this investment. And the country relied upon whom? The University of Liberia to educate its young people. So we'll see some of the major curriculum changes at UL. And then in 1960, in his annual message, President Tubman made another major revelation. And I quote, as the country's highest institution of learning, the standard at the University of Liberia must be improved and strengthened. Scholarships should therefore be granted to present professors with master's and bachelor degrees to enable them to obtain their doctorate degrees. Quotation ends. So the tradition we have at the University of Liberia, where University of Liberia sponsors its students to qualify faculty to seek postgraduate degrees overseas, began in this period. The University of Liberia today, in the midst of its financial difficulties, has striven to continue this tradition. I recall when I was BPAA, we sent students overseas in Africa, India, the United States to pursue their degrees on a very difficult financial arrangements. But we did that because we realized that this school was created for the benefit of the public. And we are not in a situation where we have a pool of PhDs and postgraduates. So we hire those who are qualified, and then when the resources become available, we send them overseas to seek their postgraduate degrees and return. So some of the new colleges that were established, the College of Agriculture, the T.J. Ara College of Science and Technology, all of them were established to begin to prepare Liberians to participate in this new economy. A second type of change that also came about in this period that required the University of Liberia to expand its curriculum, something that Liberia College could not do. In fact, Liberia College became one of the colleges in this new reconfiguration. It was the Liberia College, the College of Social Sciences and Humanities. Now it is the MLC Sawyer College of Social Sciences and Humanities. What were the circumstances that also gave rise to this new wind? The first wind, you would say, was economic, but there was something also happening in Liberia that also generated a demographic change, and we had to absorb this new demographic change. This was the incorporation of the interior into the Liberian polity. For most of the 19th century and the earliest 20th, Liberia's sovereignty was refined to its 350-mile-long coastline. That was where Liberian sovereignty extended, and about 40 miles or so inland. That was it. But every president since Joseph Jenkins Roberts has tried to dialogue with the people in the interior to be able to extend Liberia's sovereignty. The one president who received credit for making the extension was Arthur Barkley. He served as president from 1904 to 1912. Barkley and his successors, Daniel B. Howard, Charles D.B. King, Edwin Barkley, they began to extend Liberia's contact into the interior. Why was this so important? Well, once Liberia expanded, it had to absorb those in the interior. And absorbing them requires what? Basic amenities, schools, hospitals, clinics had to be built in Bond County, in Lofa, in Grand Jeddah, in Maryland, in the interior of Maryland. So how does University of Liberia fit in? Who will train the teachers? Who will train the doctors? Who will train the nurses? In 1970 or so, the A.M. Dr. Yati College was organized with the purpose of training medical doctors so that not only Monrovia, but places in the interior will have hospitals, they will have clinics. This was done. But also in Monrovia, the population expanded. You know why the population expanded? The motor road now connected the coast with the interior. What did that mean? It means you have a migration of people from the interior coming to Monrovia, which continues today. But Monrovia was that central place. That's where you found opportunities for employment. You found hospitals and you found better schools. So because of the demographic change, the University of Liberia was called upon again to adapt, to adjust its curriculum. So we see the formation of what is now the William V. Tubman College of Education. They were teachers training in elementary and high schools, were also been trained. They were the ones who trained us. And I also recall that my late sister, Matilda Allen, so as we celebrate this day, I want us to understand where our roots are. I want to understand that as illustrious as our record is today after 74 years, those records began on College Street 163 years ago. So where was College Street? I talked about College Street. Where was College Street? And anybody knows where was College Street? No. College Street. Let me read a description so you can, then maybe you will help to, it will help to clarify some things. College Street. Yes. Let me read a description from 1866. From that description we'll talk about where this person was looking at College Street and saying it was one of the principal streets. According to the description, it was about 1 mile from the best built portions of Monrovia, of the town, about 1 mile. So the best built portion of Monrovia. But it was on Cape Montserrat, the highest peak. Cape Montserrat. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard different suggestions. I'm still researching where it was from what it's describing. Yes. So whether it was absorbed, and I will tell you why perhaps it was abandoned. To this Monrovia in 1866, when this school was inaugurated on the campus. Let me read that. The proposal for the construction was for a 3-story building for students and faculty and a smaller building containing the kitchen. So I have seen pictures on the internet that the building had a wooden structure, but from the description in the archives, it said it was made of bricks, and those bricks were brought from the United States. So I don't think it's a wooden structure we see. It was 3 stories. Also, it wasn't only President Roberts who lived on the campus in 1866, but also Professor Freeman, who I mentioned earlier, who will become president. Professor Freeman lived on the campus. But other professors were objected to living on the campus and sharing living space with students in a dormitory. One of those was Dr. Blading and others. And they said, look, we have good accommodation in town. We live in there and we come to school daily. So they didn't live there. So there was there was a tendency or a proposal to relocate Liberia College from wherever it was. And the complaint was the place was unhealthy. They say it was unhealthy. I would have thought that since it was elevated, mosquitoes would have difficulty going there. But the fact that they say it was about a mile from the center portion of the town, it may suggest that it was in a woody area, a place that was not yet properly inhabited. So I can see where people wanted to leave that place. So what happened to Liberia College? By 1920, it was reported that Liberia College on College Street, somewhere on Mamba Point or Snapper Hill, had been abandoned. They were having classes on Broad Street in the House of Representatives building. You know which house is that today? The National Museum. That building was the House of Representatives. That's where they were holding classes by 1920. So, inasmuch as Liberia College had been subsumed by the University of Liberia, I want us to always think, when we think about the 74th Founders Day celebration, when we are doing our celebrations subsequently, let's always think about College Street, because it all began on College Street. That's where it all started. So, what are some of the lessons that we can take from this transition? Yes. So, I recall that when I was VPAA, in fact, Dr. Mapanya mentioned that, she didn't mention my name, but she mentioned that she had come here to help promote or create a new program. That program in gender studies. So we see that even in this period, there are demands to add to our curriculums to meet local and global challenges. That is the work of the University of Liberia, to create new curriculums that will meet new demands and new challenges. We must provide those areas in the nation so that our students can be trained, go out there and become productive citizens. This brings me to a point where it is, I usually hear on campus
always too near term. We need to, in a systematic, organized way, study trends and what they mean for the future, and then see what extractions we can make to benefit our society and how we can inform policy making, decision making. And in that light, I think, and I want to say, yeah, it is important that as a government, as a country, maybe we establish an agency, I dare say a ministry of the future, whose function it will be to aggregate, analyze trends, look ahead, and see what new technology is emerging, what new environment, what new trends, and how we can prepare to ride the crest, to invest in the necessary technology, in the necessary things we need to do to benefit from future trends. And you know, when I thought about this, I thought I was coming up with something original. And something said, Google it. And when I Googled it, Sweden has a Ministry of the Future. And I think a country in the Middle East. And I think it's something we should consider serious. We live in the middle of profound transformation or change. The advent of new technology. How can we prepare ourselves to benefit so that the farmers making farm out there can benefit, use new technology to improve their productive capacity. Nurses and doctors can use new technology to improve the way they work. Teachers, businessmen. And lastly, I would say if that ministry is created, I think it should be housed here at the University of Liberia. And I see it as multidisciplinary, drawing on the abilities of doctors, scientists, economists, sociologists. Plus, it's not expensive. First thing people say, how much it will cost. We have the train capacity. Put them somewhere, provide a small budget, but charge them with studying the future and making systematically a multidisciplinary approach and making recommendations that can inform policy making that will live the lives of all.
Thank you so much. Again, a round of applause for you. I hope you're jotting questions because after our panelists, we will take few questions from the audience. You have to ask them based on the deliberations. So please take note, grab your pen and your papers, and jot down questions. Madam Jessica Morris, you are one of the youngest on this panel discussion today. As a young person, what is the future for the University of Liberia with young people since you've been here? What do you envisage for the young people here at the university?
So first of all, let's look at the team. Okay. Let's look at the team, The Future Starts Now. That is a powerful reminder that we should not rely entirely on our past. That is where we were or where we are coming from, even though we can look back to see some of those things that we didn't do right, how we can build on them and do it better. But we should focus on now, the moment that we have now. Our president spoke about that. She said that the future starts now is telling us that we can make the future from the moment that we have now. So if we start to work together to do things differently, I'm sure the future will be a better one. And one of the things that I can imagine or that I envisage for this particular university and all of our students that are here is that we can be able to transition from our 1960 classrooms to a classroom that is a smart one, a classroom that can enhance our capacity and our learning ability as well. And also to have infrastructures that are very inclusive, because this is the state-run university, remember? And we have people that are differently able, or we call them the disabled. And if you look at the infrastructures that we have, it's not accessible for students, especially the one at Fender campus, where we have a lot of stairs. So people that are disabled in the legs will not be able to climb those stairs. So we have to also be able to start working on our infrastructures as well, so that we can have a better and inclusive future. And also to promote intellectualism. That is, we have a debate team at this university, and the debate team is stagnated. Why? Because of lack of support. We are all students. I'm actually part of the debate team. The support is not given, not just financially, but also morally and academically. We need We need coaches. We need people that will prepare us when we have games. But even most of the tournaments that we participated in, we train ourselves, we raise our own funds to attend those programs, and all of the international programs that have come for the University of Liberia debate team, we miss all of them because we didn't have the fund to transport ourselves to get there. So we should also start working on those things. Thank you.
Okay. So this question is for either of you. The three of you could answer. Like you've mentioned, the lack of fundings, the lack of interest that I listened to from you. Can there be a future for the university outside of fundings, outside of interest, outside of capacity building? Is there a future for the university?
So outside of funding, I'm not really sure about that because to bring about changes, you need some financial support. Though we cannot depend wholly on finance, probably we can get human resources to do some of the things that we want to do, but finance is very important. And another thing that we could do, because when our keynote speaker was making his address, he spoke about the University of Liberia producing a lot of leaders in Liberia and outside Liberia. Let's take, for instance, in Liberia, most of our leaders that have led this country are people that graduated from this particular institution. And under their watch, we see that the University of Liberia that the country Liberia is one of the poorest, backwards, and underdeveloped country. So it simply tells you that if we start to do things differently here, if we start to prepare people from here, our country Liberia is also going to experience the changes that we are going to make here, because those that leave from here enter the larger society. But then, to your question, finance is important as well.
May I speak?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. She stressed finances, but we are an institution dedicated to teaching and research. Sincerely, you cannot separate teaching and research from running a university. You're not running a university if you do that. So it's very key and it's paramount. And interestingly, at this point, the same challenges you are having as students, we as faculties are having the same challenge. But we are beating the odds. We are out there looking for funding, writing grants, and organizing ourselves. And we're not getting so much, but moving, like, for example, right now, we got small grants going. So if you launch out there, talk to the right people, collaborate or group yourselves as students, I'm very sure you can find a colleague from among the very qualified faculty member who can push you. For example, the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition is one of the newest established departments. When I joined the University of Liberia, that department, they didn't have anybody with a degree in food science. I met other people there, and most of them were older people. So I was alone. Even finding somebody to teach a course in food science was a problem. What we started doing, we started mobilizing, talking to colleagues, and started encouraging people and telling people that food science is important. It's not about cooking. Before, from 2015 till now, I tell you, I can count more than 8 persons with degree in food science and human nutrition. So capacity building is therefore very, very key. So having said that, capacity building, finance, research, all of them, they go hand in hand.
Thank you.
It goes without saying, Madam Moderator, that this place needs funding. And it goes without saying that the government should do all it can to provide the necessary funding. When I came to school here in the late 70s and early 80s, we paid $37.50 a semester, $75 a year. That was a bargain because the government made the budgetary allocations. Our books were 50% subsidized, brand new books. If it were $100, most of the books came from abroad. If $100 you went in a library, You pay $50 because the government made the necessary investment. When you're on the dorm, we could eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the girls' dorm. That's where they had the dining hall. That's why I say being here was one of the best days of my life. I am, but again, I think we got to be realistic. The government may not be able to provide all the funding we need. And she touched on something. I think professors and faculty have got to be entrepreneurial. I see Dr. Bernice Dye in the audience, and I remember talking to her sometime, and she was telling me about grant writing. She said she was in the States, and somebody told her, all I got is this office and my desk. I got to go out and find money by doing grant research or grant writing the fund. So the professors and teachers here need to be entrepreneurial themselves. And then I dare say this, we, the alumni, got to chime in. This place gave us a good education. It is incumbent upon us to give back. I think the Alumni Association should be more organized and actively stage program that will go after alumni and solicit funding from them. And we have a duty to give back. And so, I don't know who's the alumni leader here, but you know my name. My number is 077-233-7358. Let's get in touch. I will, in my own small way, give something back to this institution. And I think all graduates of this institution should do so. But it needs to be organized. It needs to be formalized. It needs to be done creatively. That's what schools do in the United States. People who graduate from schools and go out and do well, they give back. So let's develop this tradition of giving back and then see how we can lobby our government to more funding to carry this university where it needs to be.
Thank you. So let's take Mr. Kaya.
Yeah, thanks so much. Before we move to the audience and get participation from, I think, our students here and later on some of our officials, we'd like for Councillor Clement to elaborate more on this, because this is something that the acting president talked about during his term here. A few months he spent with the interim management team, and upon her takeover, our current president spoke extensively about it to support her 5 E's. What's the potential for internal revenue mobilization? Because the default concept for us Liberians is to focus all of our attention on the shrinking government envelope and go home and pray that something happens. And celebrating 74 years of existence, and we know we have history before 1951. What's the size of our alumni community, and what's the potential to tap into that particular group, building a solid endowment fund that can make us to be financially self-sufficient? What's the potential there?
I think there is potential. It will take some work. There's a huge alumni association in the diaspora. What I notice in the diaspora is the high school associations are very active. People seem to have more connection to their high school. EWR will have fundraisers every year to support the school back there. CWA will do the same thing. But I think if the Alumni Association is working hard, reaching out to people in an organized way, and developing a program that people can relate to, maybe start somewhere from seeing how you can collect database of alumni, working with the different associations, the county associations, the school associations that are in the United States, and through them, reaching out and getting contacts of alumni from this institution. I think something can be done. It will take some thought. It will take some hard work. It won't come easy. But I think if we do so, if we give it the kind of thought, the kind of organization, and the kind of outreach, I think there's something to be done there in terms of getting our alumni to support the university. And again, I'm coming in on that. I'm willing to be part of that committee or whatever is established. But again, it has to be done in an organized way, in a creative way. And I think we can shame people into doing so. You reach 1 or 2 alumni who we think can make some donations substantial, and you build on that over time. But it's something we need to work on. The possibility exists. And then, talking about entrepreneurship, look at what she's doing. The university can think creatively of how it can generate funds separately from grant writing. what she's doing in food and agriculture. Can it be turned into a business, that generate income? Can the agriculture college, can we have them doing farming, agricultural production, value addition that can generate income? So it should be given priority, let me put there, with a whole new thought approach to it. But I think that the university can become a place that generates some income to keep itself from the alumni and from what people do here at the university.
Okay. Forgive me for attempting something unscripted. I just want to get a short response from Mr. Penny, who's representing our Alumni Association here, because the issue of tapping into that community for the building of our endowment has been discussed repeatedly. So any update on that, or what are we doing? Just a short comment on it.
Well, I think I'm part of the program officially, so I think I'll go and give my remarks. We capture some of the things that have been said. So, but basically, I think the issue of our alumni in Liberia is a cultural issue. You notice that most people who graduate from the university or high schools to go back, to identify with that school, to even get back to that school. So we need to engage, we've been engaging people consistently. To the extent that at one point in time, I talked to a few of my colleagues. I said, gentlemen, we need to work together. We need to come back and give back to our school. Somebody told me, say, what the university did for me. Imagine an alumni making that statement. So then I said, okay, this is a cultural issue. I think the issue about giving back is a difficult thing. But then as leaders, it is our responsibility to keep pushing, and keep pushing. So yes, we are engaged, and I appreciate you, Councilor Clement, my own professor. I appreciate you for your statement. I think you opened the door already, because I also wanted to use the platform to extend my outreach. But since you opened the door, I will join you again to call all of us to help support the Alumni Association. Without the Alumni Association support, we cannot move the university forward. It's often said we should put our mouths where our money is. So I think all of us have that responsibility and duty to support the University of Liberia.
Don't give up. I know an alumni from here who was former student leader from here who was finance minister. I know several other alumni from here who hold top cabinet positions. I think, don't give up. I think if we reach out to them in an organized manner, I think there's something to be done there. Also, too, I know aid money is dwindling, but there are a lot of aid organizations here. A lot of some of the work they do here, they get implementing partners from abroad. Some of them are looking for what they call local talent. You know, the university, the business college, what sort of consultancy program they can put together. The science college, what kind of program they can put together, research that they can pitch. USAID is in trouble, but there's the European Union, there's the Swedish International Development Association. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you got to try. You got to keep on trying. I think there's something to be done there.
Okay, thank you. We open it up now,
Okay,
right?
so we open it up for questions for our panelists. Please be as snappy as you can be. So we start here. So you just raise your hand.
Thank you. I'm not sure if it's still in the morning because my watch not working. Excuse my voice. I'm Assistant Professor Cedar Williamson Taylor and the Director for Students with Disability. Thank you for bringing up the issue about inclusion, because each time we talk about inclusion or disability, I get this thing about what's your number and what's the data. Data is important. But within our culture, we have people who will not talk about a disability. For example, someone with anxiety climbing up the stairs and turn around and not go to class will be marked absent, not coming to school, without people being prepared or know what to do with these students that have these issues with disability. Each time we talk about infrastructure, we got, no money. But I'm asking the government represented here by the Board of Trustee, my own family man here from Louisiana, Sino, to work to make sure that money is provided for students with disabilities. Our bathrooms, you're talking about the future is now. Where are the technology for the students who are disabled? No assertive technology. You have instructors, you have visitors that come to the university. How do we aid them? So that's my concern for this future that starts now. It starts with inclusion and disability. And I'm asking everyone to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. So we go there. Yes, there.
Thank you very much.
Please don't open a whole book. Be snappy.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I'm student Prince P. Dix Jr., a militant of the Vanguard Certification Party. And I got a concern, especially for the students. When the keynote speaker was speaking, I paid keen attention when it comes to the historicity of the University of Liberia. And this is something I did hear, especially when it comes to how the natives enter the University of Liberia. I didn't hear it. That is, in 1970, you could not get a name the Japaulo, the name the Jenkins, and certain native name could not enter the university. And it was the militant cadres and stars of the University of Liberia that demanded the university authority back then to allow these names to enter, and our names should not be found the settlers' name or you say the American name. Okay, I got few things to say here. One, we are discussing the future stars now. If we are discussing the future stars now, wherein we are in the 21st century, and I'm seeing the university authority along with the government of the day that our officials should start with, whenever the University of Liberia gave entrances, it is enshrined in the university constitution that after 2 successful semesters, those students that they pass the entrances should be given admission letter. Students are still outside and there is no admission letter. Another one, the future starts today. If we are discussing the future starts today, the future should start with wherein chairs, the chairs that are being used by the students at the University of Liberia is produced where? In Liberia, and chairs are insufficient. I'm asking that if the future should start today, we should get sufficient chairs. The future starts today. Lastly, the future starts today. If we will accept that the future starts today in the 21st century, I'm asking the university authority that we always have a closing date, but when it comes to reopening, we don't have a date. That is, you have to keep the students outside the University of Liberia, and you bring in a cosmetic renovation that even militants and cadres of the Vanguard Party themselves can do. If we are discussing the future start today, let us look at these things. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but please, we have a lot of students here and we have people from our community. So we can outline all of the problems of the University of Liberia. We have too many of them. We know that. So please, let's see what we can do as we start the future. We know the problems already.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Charles Asumana, the Dean for the College of Science and Technology. Let me ask one question to Dr. Buri and then one question to both the other panelists. Food is a major problem in our country. You know, many people go to bed hungry. Liberia has arable land. So where is the future? How do you see the future when it comes to Liberia being self-sufficient? Or maybe just here, University of Liberia, being self-sufficient in food production. Also, Professor Clement was my best instructor, one of my best instructors in law school. And I'm the newest lawyer on the block. Yeah, so my question is, as we heard from the students, you know, there are lots of tension, you know, here on campus and in the entire country. There may be either a breakdown in the rule of law or lack of trust in it, leading to mob violence, you know, people taking the law in their own hand, student violence, all of that. What is the problem how can the rule of law address it? From the student side, how can it be addressed so that students, will have less violence on campus? Thank you.
So let's allow them to answer the questions.
Let me go
Then we'll
first,
take the
please.
second batch.
Can I?
Please, we just want to interrupt the protocol briefly. We have an honorable who needs to leave immediately, so we want him to just make a short remark. Then we take the answers before the next batch of our Q&A. So it's my pleasure now to call on Honorable
I love for honorable to hear
T.
what I want
Romeo
to say.
Kuya, a member of the Board of Trustees who's representing the chairman of the board here today. Thank you.
Sorry for the abrupt change. And like Agnes Retailer, Academic Affairs and Officer in Charge, all vice presidents of the University of Liberia, and I'll get keynote speaker, the panelists, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. I'm happy to be here and on behalf of the Board of Trustees. In fact, I didn't know about the program today because we were in Kanta, on a legislative drafting for climate change. And so when I woke up at 10 o'clock, 7:45, then I sort of noticed, we are going to represent me because I wouldn't be here. So I bring you greetings from the Board of Trustees, specifically on behalf of Honorable Senator Nimini T.H. Patikwa, who is the Senator of Rivers, Grand Crew County, and co-chair of the board, chair of the board, and co-chairman of the Committee on Education at the House of Representatives. I'm also a member of the Education Committee. I was then chair of the committee then before the changes were perfected at the university, at the Capitol building. So I'm bringing you greetings on your behalf. I'm happy to be here, happy to be part of this process. Anytime I come to the university, then I say I'm home away from home. I thought coming Clement will have mentioned that. And he was the first president, first and only president that the True Soup long-standing legacy. At that time, I was chair for mobilization. So we're friends who come a long way. I'm proud to be here, happy to be here. And I got 3 degrees from the place. I got a BSc in Wood Science, and I got 2 masters from here with honors, and I got it on from the States. I taught here for years, and I'm on the Board of Trustees. So I'm happy to be here. And unfortunately, I'm not a keynote speaker. Otherwise, I would have taken you back to my days too. Came from Sino. I took an entry in Sino. I passed. I came to Monrovia. I didn't have anybody. I had a brother who went to YMCA and was making $75. I rented 1 room, $40, Snapper Hill. So I used to walk from Snapper Hill here. That's why I don't eat sardine. I eat sardine and tinambo so much. Those days to eat soup, I got to come in the cafeteria on Saturday. All programs Saturday here. Come and come in the kitchen and wash the dishes to eat soup. And when I'm walking back, I take my time. So if get digested soon. That was the future then. That's our future then. There were we at that time. I managed to come to the dormitory and got on a scholarship, and I went to the dormitory. Then the future started a little bit there. Constitution changed. Those days when you see me, there was no telephone. Now the social media are taking over the entire world now. And that's why I always said, yes, generational change is a good thing, but I advocate for generational preparedness. The students here, I'm on the Board of Trustees, and I got a stage on the trustee on that board, and we will be determined to work along with you. At the same time, we'll be putting some control mechanism into place. When we're here, we got honor roll students and we got probation students. You drop to them, they drop you. There are students on the campus who've been here for years, who not being checkmated, whether they're in school, whether they're in school. Nobody knows. They complain. They complain. The last time when we were doing the clean up campaign here, I was in charge of the facelift exercise along with the re and others. The general government, they burn the buses, they bust the tire on the buses on the main campus. Yes, the future starts from here today. But we need your involvement. You don't want to come and stay here perpetually. As we design the stage, will come and take over from us. Be prepared. Yes, the university is suffering from funding because the university that doesn't have an endowment, does not have anything that bring in money besides student fees. Then they can politicize the place. They give free tuition over doing your synthetic studies. We are here. That the future. The future calls for all of us to be on board. We are the House of Representatives. I mean, the legislature, the board. It was when I was chairman for the education. That's the only time the university got $33 million. We're forgetting for that. We'll continue to do that, but we cannot support the staff, the faculty. I have had my own, and I don't want to say it, and discerning view or disenchantment with all the things that are here. But the ministry, they are all human beings too. They got their own shortcomings. But let's graduate from that. Let's have the honor money. The students, you are always disgruntled. You will come here too. Who are here? Who are here too? We're students here. Now we are in leadership. You will do that, but prepare yourself. Work along with the soup, the voluntary long list, go that long list. We're not strange list to me anyway, because we've been here. We want to encourage you, work along with the administration. We will do our best. We will do our utmost best to ensure that you are supported. We also encourage you to, to be intentional. Be intentional with what you get, how you spend it. Yeah. Government have hanging fruits, competing priorities. So the little one you get, we thank God. We start with that of my mommy before she left. And from our vision that we saw as bold, I think there will be some changes here. They will be harsh. Nobody, joyously accept changes anyway, because sometimes it comes with disenchantment. And there will be some dramatic changes here. I have always said that yes, it's very growing, but we have so many portfolios, too many presidents. So trust me, in the soonest there will be some changes that will help you to be more impactful. So thank you so much. I would have stayed a longer time here, but sorry, I can't stay any longer. I'm chairing a committee and they're calling me, so I gotta go. So thank you so much for being part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's take our answer.
I'm sorry the representative of government is going, but I was asked, what can we do at national level, even at the university level, to make Liberia food sufficient? There's a lot to be done. Some are already going on, but no, you can go. I don't want to hold you. Sorry, Honorable.
Quite frankly, and that has been our concern as well. But it's a collective effort. We need to. You are a researcher. My colleague Clement just came. He opened up law school. There's another way. We can do it. It can be done. Don't not be pessimistic. Let the optimistic that we can do it jointly. I know it will not be bread and butter. It comes with challenge, it comes with sacrifices, but it's doable. Thank you so much. We are at the Capitol building. Our offices are open, and we got no bureaucracy. Anything I think we need to know or you want to do, just let us know. Thank you.
Okay, so at national level, there's still a lot to be done. And the other issue is, I think the challenge is people are not using the right people. Sometimes the wrong people are chose to do the wrong jobs. And in every institution or nation, if you want to succeed in food sufficiency, you got to take research seriously. At the level of the University of Liberia, there are other colleges which are managing to do small. For me, I want to focus on where I am, where I see things, and where I'm doing it. So there's a way that research can move us to be food sufficient, and we have to mainly focus on value addition. Sincerely, most of those things are grown right here. We have the raw materials, but not much is done in value addition. Say, for example, I was trying to get packaging materials for my juice. I've looked and looked around. I've found nobody that can mold or give me the bottle shape that I want for the juice. Everywhere I went, people were telling me, no, we don't make more bottles for sale. We make our own bottle to use it for ourselves. So those are limitations. National government needs to support small food handlers and food entrepreneurs. Now, talking about the university, you have to try to incorporate entrepreneurship in most of the courses. For example, you want to breed people who will be job creators rather than job seekers. That happens to me since 2015, when I came back from my PhD studies. Any of my students that I met, I asked them, what's going on? They'll tell me, that nothing doing. So I'm like, this is bad. So all of that, if you have the requisite curriculum that brings out a lot of entrepreneurship with support from national government and the University of Liberia, I think we will do well in transforming different food products to different value-added products. Thank you.
So from your question, Dr. Azumana, you spoke about violence, if I'm right? How can issue be handled without the use of violence? So firstly, we have to understand what leads to the violence. So most of the times you see students getting angry, students taking action is because some of the things that are needed, some of the things that are necessary to enhance their learning and stuff at the University of Liberia are not being met or is not being put in place. So because of that, students get angry. An instance could be where you walk from downstairs up to AB, the academic building at the Fender campus. That very tall building, very dark and hot. You walk up there for a 3-hour class, only to find out there is no chair, so you have to stand for 3 hours. All of those things can get students angry. And at the end of the day, because chairs are not provided, they try to protest so that chairs can be provided. And instead of providing platforms, the university administration and faculty members providing platforms that students can engage more diplomatically, they don't even have time to listen to students. So at the end of the day, students use the radical means instead of the diplomatic means. If there were workshops, there were seminars, there were, means like this where students can be able to engage and express their grievances without having to go radical. I'm sure those ways, the issue of violence at the University of Liberia will be resolved. But until then, that is where we are.
Charles, I think your question speaks to the very charged nature of politics in our country today. When I was here on LU, I was president of the student union. I ran against and defeated SOUP as an independent. But we never saw ourselves as enemies. We were on different sides of the political divide. It was robust. We debated on the Palava Hut, but we never resorted to violence. Tiawan Gonglu, who I knew from Tiawan Gonglu, who I knew from Sanikwele, we both went to school and we met here. He was on the ticket that I defeated. We remain friends today. I eat at his house regularly. He eat at mine. Commonly, we said Dusty Wallacoli, our former president of the university on the SOUP ticket. We talk today. We reminisce about our politics here in a fun way. Remember the heated debates we had. We never resorted to violence. Politics should be about mediating our differences, not accentuating them. Politics cannot be seen as a zero-sum game where somebody wins all and somebody loses all. We've got our history teaches us that we must give primacy to moderation and compromise Not the compromise that sacrificed core principles on the altar of expediency, but the compromise that realizes that we all want the good for Liberia. We may come from different perspectives of how to do so, but we meet in the middle. And not the moderation that's lack principle, but the moderation that realizes that extremism never augurs well for any society. I am, and then you said the rule of law. There was an American judge called Leonard Hand. He is said to have been the greatest American judge that never sat on the Supreme Court. His opinions were brilliantly written. And he gave a speech called The Spirit of Liberty. He said the spirit of liberty is not found in any laws or constitution, because laws and constitution can be circumvented. The spirit of liberty, he says, is found in our hearts. He said the spirit of liberty is not always sure it is correct. It is not convinced about his own position. It allows room for realizing that it may be wrong. And the spirit of liberty, and to take into account their own interests without bias. And as a country, I think our history teaches us amply well that when we resort to violence, bad things happen. We plant seeds of enmity that span generations. We create huge social and economic dislocation. And I think above all, this is a message people in our national scene have got to learn. Seeing what's happened recently. Maybe it's the nature of the winners take all nature of our politics. When one party wins, they take everything. And that's the way the constitutional law allows it. Maybe we need to be thinking about constitutional amendment. I would say maybe one party win, there's a commission that has 5 members. Maybe the opposition will nominate 2. So they have I think I'm bullish about Liberia. Despite all of our problems and difficulty, I think we are a special people, and I think we got a great future. But I think eschewing violence, working together, rejecting extremism in all its forms is critical to the success and stability of our country.
Thank you. So we take more questions.
I think this will be the last batch of questions because we know we got a tricky arrangement for lunch, and we don't want to take you
we take the
too
fellow
long.
in the pink shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Basically, I'm David Publier II, a student reading economics and emphasis in public administration. So it is very imperative that on today's Founder Day, we will be discussing the future starts now. But what a key factor that we have to look at if our future should start now. And I would love for the senator to be here. He said something about the university being underfunded and doesn't have money. And we want to say that's not true. Over the past 3 budget years, this university budgetary allotment has been above 25 million consistently. It has been above. If the future should start now, we are calling and we are challenging that Mapaya to institute a forensic financial audit. Because we are noticed for the period that this university money has been squandered at big fat salaries, at big fat benefits to other people. This university future should start now. We are encouraging and we are challenging that Mapaya to institute a reputation audit. There are people who go to the classroom who do not have the requisite criteria to teach, to provide quality tertiary education to the students here. And they come here because they are friends or they are who or their brothers are people of the system. They provide substandard and substandard education to people's children. And you are saying to us that the students are violent. The brother over there, he should be of one of those regimes. If you check the historic state of violence on this campus, you will notice that violence has been perpetrated by all of the regimes. Whether it was the Dole regime, it was the Taylor regime, the Salib, whether it was the current regime, the most recent regime of George Weah, the March 13, the March 31st of Dr. Sawyer. These actions have never been taken into account. So they had to come and bring the student of violence. When their government now, you have been part and parcel of, have perpetrated an institute of violence on this campus. And then you can't bring the student of violent politics. So that the Mapaya has series of challenges. But first, you have to institute prudential audit and financial audit.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your recommendation. We take that seriously.
Yeah, please be short so your colleagues can get the points across.
Okay, so
thank you so much.
Please be patient. We're allowed 1 minute each. We'll take you just have to stay within the confines of your 1 minute. Go
So
ahead.
looking at the theme, the future starts now. Can starting or looking at the hanging fruits, can it contribute to starting the future now? For example, if we like have student organization or something and you say, in order to have a better future, can those who want to compete, we look at your grades and see where you are? Can that be a low hanging fruit to start or that will make the future to begin? Then I'm also looking at this other hanging fruit as students. We know that we have limited chairs, but when we take the chairs outside and we are done, can we take them back in the classroom so that the limited chairs, we can still have them? Or when we have issues, could we stop taking the chairs and dunking and breaking them? Can we take those as hanging fruit to start and to organize a training session for the leaders or whoever on how you can begin to address issues so that the future can start now and be better? Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll take one person from this end, then we come back and take another hand that I saw up from the Kofi Annan School.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Winston Deegan. I'm a student studying accounting. So I'm kind of disappointed. It's unfortunate the distinguished senator is not here. I'm kind of disappointed. We think leaders should be providing solutions instead of crying. The senator said students here are disgruntled. I think that's a disservice to us, and I think the senator needs to apologize. So my question to panelist Jessica. Jessica, I listened to you spoke very well, but will you agree with your co-panelists knowing that years in, years out, money has been a problem in this institution? Will you agree with your co-panelists that we as students or faculty can join us as well to step outside and be able to lobby for funding so we can have a better education? Do we agree with them?
Thank you. We take another question. So we have two outstanding questions. Yeah? Okay, so Mr. Kaya, can
Sorry, you can give the question space to somebody. I just want to make a suggestion based on what our lovely panelist said about the debate, the UR debate team. Yeah. I just stand up to say the Kofi Annan Institute offers to work with the UR debate team, and we want to make a second tonight.
Thank you. So let's
Okay, we can take the last two.
Yeah.
Stick to 1 minute, please.
Yes.
So we take the fellow with the blue shirt. His hand is he's. We have to do justice, please. Can we take the fellow with the blue shirt?
Let him just speak now. We'll give it to him
Just go
afterwards.
ahead.
All right, thank you for the time and the media. I want to thank the panelists, first of all, but I listened to all of you speak well. And of course, my attention has been drawn to what policy, if the future should start now, what policies best we have set up or instituted that will be implemented to the fullest to getting this university as a systematic institution that will enhance academic excellence. That's my question.
His question is, what policies do you think?
Yes, before we take the last, UR relations to the Vice President, Honorable Toure, wants to announce that we will use this team as a running series throughout this academic year before we get to the 75th anniversary celebration. So all those who have their ideas, their questions, who are really intense about the discussion today, you have the opportunity. There will be several fora organized on our log stock so we can do full justice to the discussion here today. We may not be able to take all of you because we are severely out of time. So we take the last interaction now. And
blue shirt,
we apologize.
All right, so what a privilege being the last person to ask question, right? So my name is Josephus Tade Bale. I'm student reading criminology and also a member of the university's debate team. I want to ask the panel, and I want each of you to answer these questions. In the midst of all of the challenges you have had, the issue of chairs, delayed semesters, and so many issues that we are faced with, knowing that you are the driver for today's car and we are your passengers, where can any of you start? What should be the first priority or a starting point for you as we begin a new future at the University of Liberia? Where do you start? What's the major priority you want to engage first?
Thank you. So we just squeeze in the last one. Then we.
Yeah, the last question, I think so. Thank you so much to all of the panelists for the messages. Now, almost all of them spoke on sustainability standard or responsibility. That is renovations and whatsoever that need to be taken for the features, which is now, there should be somehow levels of sustainability and other responsibility. Now, as we look towards the features, what are the key initiatives or strategies we should focus on to promote sustainability and social responsibility within or among the students and other the communities as well?
Thank you. So let's join our panelists.
Okay, our moderator, we hope that from you answer the, please make your closing comments so we move on to the next.
Okay.
I will try to be short. And he talked about policy. I will look at it more like action. What action can we take moving forward? He talked about sustainability and so forth. Personal initiative, you said. So personal initiative, I personally have done some personal initiative. I don't want to go into that. But as a university, moving forward, what we need to do, we need to focus on creating more specialized programs, which will have a lot of specialized focus areas. And we need to create people who will be job creators, such like entrepreneurs, rather than people who will leave from here. And after 5 years, you see a student and he still tells you there's nothing going on. That's it. So my parting comment is, the future is just before you. Like me, I didn't know that it was something that I had to start working on. So the steps you take towards it determines the results you get tomorrow. And you are in the seat as a student right now. I'm urging you to track carefully, design it, and prepare exactly the way you want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you. So we take you.
Okay, so my comrade there that talk about where can we start. So I think we can start from ourselves. There is this line in my poem that I wrote called Breaching the Gap. And it says, the you in you and the me in me can make the stronger we can be. So it starts with me playing my part, you playing your part, alumni playing their part, that is giving back what they got from the university, even if it is not financially, but like what Dr. Councillor Clement is doing. He's volunteering his service to teaching at the law school. That is another form of giving back. And also the administration should also be able to play their part, and students should be able to play their part. So it starts with you and it starts with me. And I need to make a clarity before I can turn over to my colleague. When I spoke about addressing the issue of violence on the campus, I'm not justifying or saying that it is right for students to engage into violence. I was pointing out reasons, and I was pointing out some of those things that lead students to violence. And I also said that if administration can provide space for these people to be able to express their grievances on a more diplomatic level, on a more soft and calm level, I think the issue of violence won't be a problem for the university. Once again, I'm Jessica Inja Morris, and I thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, if I was talking priority, it would be funding, funding, funding. The university needs the money to tackle the problems you guys talking about, the lack of chairs, recruiting top faculty. And so that would be my focus, funding, funding, funding. Lobbying the government to provide the necessary funding, seeing how the university can become more entrepreneurial, tapping your alumni base. It's not going to be easy, but that would be my priority. I think everything else flows from that. In terms of wrapping up, I like to cast my comment more broadly. You know, I even during the worst days of the Liberian Civil War, I was always proud to be a Liberian. I think in many ways it is not too corny to say we're special people. Now think about it, you know, people leaving America, somehow Providence made it that they would come here. People who were forcibly left came back and met with the brothers they met here to form a new nation. We know from our history it was not always easy, it was contentious. But the people who built this nation were not perfect men. They had their flaws, but they bequeathed us a nation. And it's our task to build on it. And you know, there are not many countries that can look back on 200 years of history. There are not many countries that can claim to have been present at the creation of all of the big institutions that undergird the international community, the League of Nations, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the world. Liberia were present. There are not many nations that can say by their sheer existence they helped to midwife the liberation of an entire continent. Like Liberia arguably did just by being an independent country then and putting a lie to the fact that Africans couldn't rule themselves. You know, I said that's the special club from which we come. That's the great tradition to which we heirs. But still, the promise of Liberia has to be fulfilled. You just drive up the road outside Monrovia, and you see people living in huts. Living conditions just difficult. And there's not to blame anyone. Government, it's been here forever. Our purpose shouldn't be to fix the blame, but us talking about the future. You here, our challenge should be how do each of us work hard to help Liberia fulfill its destiny, to be this sweet land of liberty and justice for all. I think we have in the capacity of each of us to help achieve that goal. And that's the charge I leave you with. Thank you.
And of course, if the future is now, the future is us, and it's time that we come together, build a positive mindset in rebranding the University of Liberia. I'd like to say a big thank you to our panelists, a big thank you to all of you, and we hope to see you again. My name is Ines Visoko, and I bid you a pleasant day. Bye-bye.
On that note, a round of applause for our esteemed panel. A nice job. So I know we are low on energy, but please, they did a lot. Yeah. They opened up a whole Pandora box for discussion, 2 others here. So we will take our interlude later. We want to quickly move to remarks. We've already gotten a remark from our board, so it is now my honor to call on the president of the UL Faculty Association, Dr. Edna Johnny, for a quick remark.
Good afternoon to all. Dr. Taylor, officer in charge, Dr. Allen, our panelists, faculty and staff present, students. The University of Liberia Faculty Association is delighted to be here, represented by me, Dr. Edna Johnny, the president. The theme today, the future starts now. Unfortunately for the faculty, the future is starting when our faculty colleagues have issues with their salary. The future is starting when our adjunct faculty have not yet been paid for 2 or 3 semesters. The future is starting when we are teaching in classrooms that are very hot. The future is starting when you go to class and you see your students, you have to wait for 10 or 15 minutes for them to go and look for chairs. But we believe all is not lost. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Allen, took us back in time through the journey of the formation of the university. One thing that was constant is we saw decisive steps and decisions we are taking to bring us to where we are. I think 2 or 3 years ago, the theme of this Founders Day was the Renaissance. But from that time to now, I don't know what has changed. But today, we say the future starts now. And if the future is to start, we want to see a future. What we dreamed about coming to actuality as faculty, staff, and students. Seeing ourselves realizing the future, not only be said, but experiencing the future. We want to see deliberate steps that will make us to realize the future, not only talking about the future. When VP Tue asked me to come here, I said no, but what am I coming for? Because we are just talking. We keep on talking, and we keep on going back to the same things. My colleagues are there complaining, seeing their salaries cannot even be given to them in full. But we are thinking that as we start the future, I don't know whether it's today or it's tomorrow or it's a year from now, let us start it on the slate of taking decisive decisions that will make us realize the future, experience the future, feel the future, that yes, indeed, we are in a future that we dreamt about. The future wherein we will go to classrooms, we will not feel hot. Wherein our students will not be standing, that they could not take in what we are teaching them. The future where we will see faculty will not be crying for salaries. The future where we will see faculty will not be muzzled. The future where faculty and students with administration, we will see each other at a circle for which the future will be sustained. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to the Faculty Association President. Okay, and we want to quickly call on the President of, okay, a quick consultation. Good news, all right. So we first take our remark from the President of the Staff Association, Mr. D. Preston. Is a representative here from the Staff Association? Okay, we quickly move on. We will take a video clip from him later on and post on social media. We now move to our very powerful alumni community. So we call on Mr. Martin Wooler Penny, Acting President of the Alumni Association of the University of Liberia.
Thank you very much. Dr. Taylor, Officer in Charge of the University of Liberia, distinguished Vice Presidents, members of the UL Council, UL Faculty Senate, their presidents, the president of OFA, president of the Faculty Association, members of our alumni community, the student body. I'd like to extend thanks and appreciation to all of you for coming to attend this occasion. I think the 74th Founders Day celebration should be used as a period of reflection. And at the same time, we can introspect as to how we manage the future, how we move ahead. So all of us, as a unit of the university family, we have a duty and responsibility assigned to us, giving our association. Whether you're a member of the Faculty Association, you're part of administration, you're a member of the UL Board of Trustees, whether you're part of the student community, the support staff, you have a duty to the university. And that duty should be executed with integrity, dignity, and respect for the university. Those who founded the university started with nothing. They trusted the ideas and the vision that indeed we can establish a university that can train the manpower of this republic. They put the ass in the motion, and today we have what we call the University of Liberia. After several years of existing from one generation to another, this generation of ours, we are in charge of the university. So it is our duty and responsibility. So I'd like to call all of us, specifically 5 units of the university family, the Board of Trustees, the administration, the support staff, the Faculty Association, and the Alumni Association. I think these 5 units are key and cardinal to the growth and development of the university, with each of us having a specific role to play for the advancement of the university. So I'd like to start with the Board of Trustees. It is our duty as members of the Board of Trustees to effectuate policy reforms and institute policy measures that will safeguard the administrative and financial governance of the university. If we renege in doing so, we undermine the forward march of the university and keep the university in a state of decadence, as we are seeing today. So each of us has to cross-examine ourselves and see the role we play at the level of the board in ensuring that the advancement of the university remains cardinal as we move along. To the administration, I'd like to say you have a duty and responsibility to manage the day-to-day activities of the university. Most especially, your administrative decisions should be based on prudence, not on cherry picking. If we have the need to employ, we must employ. If we don't have the need to employ, we should not employ. Unnecessary employment at times undermine the growth of the university. If you see the university budget today, we talk about 85% of university finances going towards personnel costs, with limited resources left out to carry operations and support academic work. Academic work in the context of providing financial assistance to professors who want to do research. So we have to redirect our administrative decisions and ensure that everything we do, decisions that we make at the university, should be in the interest of the university, to advance the university from one state to another. And to the faculty, we also encourage you that our classrooms, our academic environment should be respected. We must bring dignity to our classroom. We must ensure that we challenge our students academically so that they can get the best out of us. We must now create an alternative means that students will move from one stage to another, except through the academic rigor that we establish. We must revisit our curriculums and ensure that we make the necessary track changes that will enhance the new world order in terms of human advancement. So it is our duty to ensure that we have a better classroom, well managed, and our professors can serve as role model for our students. But that will be having a functioning and well-structured university. To the students, you have a duty to study. You have a duty to behave as a student. You have a duty to ensure that you use the necessary procedure in acquiring your academic degree. You should not find an alternative route to seek progress in academia. To do so is to mislead yourself and to undermine your personal growth and development, by extension to undermine society. Each of us have a duty to the society. Lastly, to my colleague in the alumni community, I think we have been lagging behind. We have been doing some things, but given our potential, given the population of alumni that we have across the world, given the financial potency in the midst of our population with respect to individual possessions and achievements, I think we can do more, far more than what we're doing. So each of us must see reasons to give back to the university. We should support the university initiative. And thanks to my own professor, Councilor Clement, for coming back to teach free of charge to the university, to impart knowledge to the next generation. And I hope all of alumni members around the globe can do the same. And we are talking about initiating programs. Like the team is rather saying the future starts now. And I think coincidentally, at the level of the Alumni Association, we decided to initiate a project. We want to open an alumni resource center, a center that will provide a platform where students, faculty members, and other users of the university environment to go sit quietly and do their research, where we make provision of internet facility, computers, whether you want to do photocopy, everything we want to have it there to enhance the academic environment. Because we think these are some of the things that are lacking on the university campus. And so we initiated that project, and right now we're using the entire Monrovia to do resource mobilization. The total cost of the project is $12,150.50. We are targeting 150 alumni members who each of them can pay at least $80, minimum $80 to reach our target. So we encourage all of you, members of our communities, to support this initiative. We are sending out letters, we are rating several individuals, and we're still looking out for other people to come on board. And thanks to Dr. Conte, he was the first person that made a contribution. And I must applaud him in this public manner. Sorry that he's not here. So as we make progress, we encourage you to join hands. That all of us should know our lines, all of us should know our role to play, all of us should take our responsibility serious in moving the university forward. I thank you very much. Happy Founders Day.
Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Founders Day. It was on Saturday, but every day is Founders Day. When giving a vote of thanks, you have to be very careful you don't leave anybody out. So, good afternoon again. We want to give thanks to our dynamic president, Dr. Lily Mapaya, and her cabinet. Thanks to our UL Board of Trustees. Thank you to Dr. Al Hassan Conte, who was not too long ago the acting president of the University of Liberia, and Dr. Allen. When Dr. Allen is telling or speaking, you just want to sit and listen, because it's like you're listening to a fairy tale. And you make it so easy and interesting, Dr. Allen. Thank you. You should write it. We need to write our own story. We need to bring it down to the elementary level so people start taking ownership of being citizens of this country. Thank you for reminding us where we all are coming from as alumni of this institution. Thank you. We want to welcome Denise, Mrs. Denise Allen. Thank you for being there for him. Thank you to our panelists who spoke so eloquently on the future is the future starts now. For me, the future is now. It always been now. So thank you for speaking so eloquently to the topic. Our moderator, this is a young lady that I've always admired. Thank you. Thank you to the presidents of the University of Liberia Staff Association, Faculty Association, the students. But I want to pause to select a few persons that I feel I need to say thank you to. First of all, is Dr. Agnes Reeves Taylor, the Vice President for Academic Affairs. She started off by trying to tweak our memory as to who are we? What are we? As an institution, where did we come from? What kind of impact we've made regionally, globally, continentally, and we have done a whole lot. When you speak of the University of Liberia, people stand. I went to a workshop in Dakar, and we were talking about HIV and AIDS. We went through the introductions and we went into sections. And this lady came, she said, I want to be with the Liberian team. I said, oh, why? She said, you see who I am, what I am? I went to the AME Decloty College and they groomed me free of charge. And today I'm making a difference in New York, in one of the best hospitals. In Nigeria, I was in a predicament, and this lady heard the accent, and she said, Liberia. I said, yes. She said, I'm going to back you. That country is beautiful. Let us not forget where we come from, Dr. Reeves Taylor. Thank you for making us to feel proud and remembering instead of only thinking negative things. Thank you. The next person is the Vice President for UL Relations. We need to give him a loud hand of applause. Louder. He worked and worked and worked. Challenging times, but you could see the smile pasted on his face. I knew he was hurting, but I want to say thank you. This is the result of his hard work, his creativity. Thank you. You and your team, thank you. They worked around the clock, through the weekend, they were here. Thank you. The UL chorus, thank you. Love you too. The other person that we need to commend is VP Sekou Kone. Before people could sit, he had made sure his constituency was seated. And they paid attention. They asked questions. Whatever the questions were, they participated. VP Kone, thank you. The Department of Protocol, thank you. UL Lux Radio, thank you for streaming it. The world has seen us and will continue to see us and flow along with us. You know, with everything that we do, we have to think security. I want to say thank you to our security for ensuring that this place was kept up. You know what my mother always say, nobody ever notice a clean place. When it's dirty, then you notice it. So to our cleaners, it's not easy to clean up, to pick up the trash. And as fast as you pick up the trash is there. We say thank you. You know, people talk about giving back. I want to take this time, VP Reeves Taylor, and all of us here, that we have people that do give back. The Alumni Association in the Americas, we want to say thank you to them. And why? Because the college of the campus for the preclinical was always dark. And they made sure that we got some lights. And we said thank you. That's the beginning, and they're willing to do more. So we said thank you for giving back. We want to say thank you to all of the deans, all of the chairpersons, all of the faculty members that are here. To all of us good people that are here today to make this occasion such a wonderful one. God bless you.
And thanks to you, VP Ta, for making it possible to have this program today, for coming to work on Sunday to ensure that things are arranged and organized. So on this note, we go to our Reverend for a benediction. Reverend Abbasin. A good start deserves a good finish. So thank you.
Time is fast spent. Kindly stand with me and let us recite the Lord's Prayer. Recite the Lord's Prayer with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. Thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Go in peace, and let the Lord go with you.
Okay, thank you so much for those watching us online. This is how we come to the end of the official celebration of the 74th anniversary of Fun of Day. And we now ask our New York chorus to do us a walk of selection. New York chorus, it's up to you.